Facts Shorts. Presents. Historicals happen on this day, November 26th, but before we start, for more videos like this, feel free to subscribe. Let's start. Thanksgiving Day. In his first presidential proclamation, George Washington designated November 26, 1789 as a day of national Thanksgiving. The next president to issue a Thanksgiving proclamation was Abraham Lincoln, who in 1863 also designated November 26th. In October of his third year in office, Lincoln invited Americans to set apart and observe the last Thursday of November, next as a day of thanksgiving and praise. On November 26, 1942, Casablanca premiered in New York City and would become one of the most cherished films in Hollywood history, set during World War II. The film stars Humphrey Bogart as Rick Blaine, the former freedom fighter and owner of an upscale North African nightclub, and Ingrid Bergman as Ilsa Lund, Blaine's gorgeous and elusive former lover. The film went on to receive 8 Academy Award nominations, ultimately taking home the Oscars for Best Picture, Best Director and Best Adapted Screenplay. 1950, China enters the Korean War. On November 26, 1950, China entered the Korean War, launching a counteroffensive against soldiers from the United Nations, the US, and South Korea. 1965, France launches Asterix, the launch of the satellite from Hamaguir. Algeria made France the 6th country in the world after the US, the USSR, the UK, Canada, and Italy to have an artificial satellite in orbit. The satellite is named after the Asterix, the popular comic character created by French writer René Goscinny. 1992, Queen Elizabeth II became Britain's first monarch to pay income tax. The Queen informed the Prime Minister, John Major, earlier that she wanted to change her tax arrangements in previous years. Britain's monarch was not expected to pay income tax, as they serve a duty to the country. However, Queen Elizabeth II thought it was correct to do so. At the time, there was an ever-growing worry from the public about the cost of having the royal family, so it's possible it could have been related to this pressing issue. 1922, British archaeologists entered the tomb of King Tutankhamun. Howard Carter and Lord Carnarvon were the first to set foot inside the tomb in more than 3,000 years. The tomb itself was in immaculate condition, having been hidden away by sand. It had escaped plunder by thieves. Both Carter and Carnarvon died within 7 months of opening. The tomb, led King Tutankhamun was enthroned in 1333 BC, when he was still a child. He died a decade later at the age of 18 and thus made only a faint impression on the history of ancient Egypt. In the 13th century BC, Tutankhamun and the other Amarna kings were publicly condemned, and most records of them were destroyed, including the location of Tutankhamun's tomb. A century later, in the 12th century BC, workers building a tomb for Ramses VI inadvertently covered Tutankhamun's tomb with a deep layer of chips, further protecting it from future discovery. 1865, Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland novel was published in the US. The novel was written by Lewis Carroll. This was a pseudonym. His real name was Charles Lutwidge Dodgso, and Carroll had many jobs, including novelist, mathematician, clergyman, photographer, and artist. It was published by Macmillan Publishers. It has been classed as one of the world's most influential novels. The novel is full of nonsensical rhymes. There are 12 chapters in the novel. The novel features many characters. The most recognized are Alice, the White Rabbit, the Dormouse, Tweedledee and Tweedledum, the Caterpillar, the Cheshire Cat, the March Hare, the Mad Hatter, and the Queen of Hearts. Dinah Alice's cat has become a popular literary cat. Plot development occurred on further boating trips in Oxford. 2003, the last Concorde to ever fly made a lap of honor over the English Channel. The last Concorde has landed at its new home, the Bristol airfield where it was built. Thousands of well-wishers gathered to see the aircraft land at Filton Airfield on Wednesday. The plane left London's Heathrow Airport at 11:30 GMT, flying out across the Bay of Biscay and then back to Bristol, where she landed soon after 1300 GMT, carrying 100 British Airways cabin crew members and pilots. It was the last of the 7 BA Concords to arrive at its new home, with pilot Les Brody at the controls. The jet performed a lap of honor above Bristol, flying over Portishead, Clevedon and Weston-super-Mare, Bristol Airport, Clifton Suspension Bridge and the Downs. 2015, the UK-based computer company Raspberry Pi released their $5 for pounds computer. The latest version of British computer Raspberry Pi has become the first computer to be given away free with a magazine. The Pi Zero is a fully fledged computer, which measures just 6.5 centimeters by 3 centimeters. Made in Wales, it sells for just £4 in the UK and $5 in the US. Raspberry Pi is also giving the device away for free, with the purchase of its £5.99 monthly magazine, MagPi. Like all computers made by Raspberry Pi, the machine runs Raspbian, a version of the Linux operating system built for the devices, and can run apps built for the operating system, such as coding tool Scratch and the game Minecraft. 2011, NASA launched the Mars Science Laboratory probe, which carried the Curiosity rover to Mars. Mars Science Laboratory (MSL) is a robotic space probe mission to Mars launched by NASA on November 26, 2011, which successfully landed Curiosity, a Mars rover, in Gale Crater on August 6, 2012. The overall objectives include investigating Mars' habitability, studying its climate and geology, and collecting data for a human mission to Mars. The rover carries a variety of scientific instruments designed by an international team. MSL successfully carried out the most accurate Martian landing of any known spacecraft at the time, hitting a small target landing ellipse of only 7 by 20 kilometers for 0.3 by 12.4 miles in the Aeolis Palus region of Gale Crater. In the event, MSL achieved a landing to 0.4 kilometers 1.5 miles east and 400 meters 1,300 feet north of the center of the target. This location is near the mountain Aeolis Mons A Mount Sharp. The rover mission is set to explore for at least 687 Earth days, 1 Martian year over a range of 5 by 20 kilometers 3.1 by 12.4 miles.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more.